So this past week, working on the Bonneville, I pulled out the battery cables, and it's time to put them on the car. And then, upon closer inspection, I started to notice a few things, like cheap clamps that were used. The factory had these like really strange spring clamps for the battery terminals. They apparently didn't work well because somebody thought these cheap aftermarket bolt-on clamps were better. And generally, these are just 60-year-old cables that are showing some pretty. They've lived a long life. So. We're either going to buy new ones or we're going to make new ones. I'll give you one guess which way we're going to go. So jumping right into it, you can see the new materials laid out on the workbench, and we're jumping right in by getting the 3 battery cables out. So positive and negative cable, and then the starter wire. So from the bus bar down to the starter. And that's the one that has a heat shield around it with the purple solenoid wire. So the farthest one to the left as we're looking at it right now. But doing a couple quick measurements, just writing them right on the workbench. But once I get the measurements on these cables, they can go and be put into storage with the other used parts, keeping all of the used components, the original or as much of the original that remains. So they'll stay with the client with the car, which is fine. Get the camera moved around here a little bit, and we're going to kick it off by cutting some cables to length. The little dual die grinder does just a wonderful job. I'm skipping over how much effort it took to strip the insulation off of this wire, because it was a lot. This is good quality wire, so I did take the opportunity to upsize the gauge. So this is 2-gauge wire. High quality materials. I bought everything from wirebarn.com. I've used them a lot in the past, always had great luck. And all in, all the materials for these 3 cables came out less than 1 reproduction cable. Obviously that's ignoring labor, but still a great value in my mind to have high quality cables that did. So that's the battery terminals, these lugs that you see here being soldered on, as well as adhesive-lined heat shrink, and then the 2-gauge cable. So apparently in '64, both the battery cables were all black. It's a little strange, but I'm trying to keep that original feel. So, yeah, just heating them up with a torch, soldering them. They could have been crimps. I think this makes a really good connection. You can argue about crimp versus solder. This is just the way I did it. So, breaking out the heat gun, and like I mentioned, adhesive-lined heat shrink. There's a couple places where there was a gap from the insulation to the lug. I cut a little sliver and filled that in just to try and get a constant diameter and maybe a little bit of a nicer look. And the 3rd cable, the starter cable, I did leave long because I'm going to do a quick test fit. I'll talk about that in just a second. So we are converting over to a modern high torque starter, high torque gear reduction starter. So before I soldered on both ends of this cable, I did leave it a little long, and I'm going to do a quick test fit. First terminal up on the inner fender, get it routed nice, and I'll jump under the car and bring you guys with me to take a look. All right, it's a little cramped to show you what's going on down here, but I'm under the motor, oil pan, starter, and then the difference between this gear reduction starter and the original starter is several inches in length, but more importantly, the position of the power terminal. So this wire right now is like 5 inches longer than the original, but it's gonna be just about the right length to snake in here. So I'm glad I left it plenty long. We'll go ahead and just put the terminal on here. And let's see.
Yeah, that actually looks like it's gonna sneak in there pretty nice. A little hard to show you just because of how tight the quarters are down here, but we're coming down right beside the steering box, plenty of room to the exhaust, coming over right onto the terminal. So that routing is gonna be pretty nice. All right, let's finish this one up and then we'll have a set of battery cables.
So this one was a mixture of foresight and caution, but I'm glad I didn't solder this cable in its entirety, or the routing would have been bad, or I might have just had to remake it all together. So glad I did the test fit, and now we're back at the bench, ready to do the final solder joint, the last bit of heat shrink. No drama at this point. This is number 5. Things are going smoothly. I'm really liking this little red swivel vise. It's quickly becoming my favorite just to move around for small tasks like this. Really like this thing. Except for the color. And the last bit of heat shrink, and that'll finish this one off. I do have a heat sleeve to go over this, a heat shrink sleeve, and I'll put a new purple conductor in for the starter solenoid as well. So a little bit more work to do. I didn't have the materials on hand at the time that I filmed this. And I always love a quick montage of putting stuff away. There's something satisfying about seeing the mess undone. So a quick recap, all in, this project from the time the materials were sitting on the bench till completed was 30 minutes to cut, solder, heat shrink, test fit, and wind up with these 3 pretty nice looking cables you see here. So this is good progress on a bigger project. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Drop me a comment if you like this, and I'll see you guys on the next one.